Long ago, in the time when the Lakota people roamed the Great Plains, hunger and hardship had found them. The buffalo, their sacred relatives, had grown scarce, and the people struggled to survive. The chiefs and holy men prayed for guidance, for a sign to lead them back to balance. One summer morning, as the sun painted the sky in golden light, two young warriors set out from camp to scout for game. They walked far, their eyes searching the horizon for any sign of the buffalo, but instead they saw a figure approaching from the west, a figure unlike any they had seen before. She walked with a grace that seemed to make the earth itself honor her steps. Her white buckskin dress shone like the first snow, and her hair, dark as the night, flowed like a river down her back. In her hands she carried a bundle wrapped in sage, and her presence filled the air with a sacred stillness. One of the warriors, his heart clouded with foolish desire, thought to claim her for himself. But as he reached for her, a great cloud descended upon them, and when it lifted, the warrior was nothing but a pile of bones at her feet. The other man fell to his knees, trembling, for he knew this was no ordinary woman. She spoke then, not with the voice of a mortal, but with the power of the spirits. "Go to your people," she said, "and tell them I am coming. Tell them to prepare a great lodge, for I bring gifts that will sustain them for generations." With fear and reverence, the warrior ran back to his village, his heart pounding with the weight of what he had witnessed. The people listened, and the chiefs ordered the lodges to be made ready, for they knew this was no ordinary visitor. This was Patesang Wing, the white buffalo woman, and her arrival would change their lives forever. The village buzzed with anticipation as the people prepared for the arrival of the sacred woman. The finest lodge was built at the center of the camp, its door facing the east, where the sun brings wisdom. The chiefs, elders, and holy men gathered, their hearts open, their spirits humbled. Then, as the sun reached its highest point, she appeared. White buffalo woman walked slowly, her feet barely touching the earth, as if the wind itself carried her. The people stood in silence, their eyes wide with awe. Even the children, who could not yet understand the weight of this moment, felt the power in the air and did not speak. She entered the lodge, and the people followed, filling the space with quiet reverence. From her bundle, she withdrew an object wrapped in sage, a pipe, its stem carved from wood, its bowl made of red stone. Holding it before them, she spoke words that would echo through generations. "With this pipe," she said, "you will pray to Wakantanka, the Great Spirit. The bowl is the earth, the stem the path of life. When you smoke this pipe, your prayers will rise with the smoke and be heard." She showed them how to fill the pipe with chanshasha, the sacred red willow bark, and how to offer it to the four directions, to the sky and to the earth. As the smoke curled upward, the people felt a deep peace settle over them, as if the very air had become sacred. Then White Buffalo Woman gave them a warning. This pipe must never be broken, never be used for anger or greed. It is a living thing, a bond between the people and the spirit world. If you honor it, the buffalo will return and your children will thrive. The chiefs bowed their heads, accepting this great gift. They knew this was no ordinary pipe. It was the very heart of their people. With the sacred pipe now in the care of the people, White Buffalo Woman remained among them, walking softly through the village, observing their ways. She saw their struggles, their hopes, and the shadows of fear that still lingered in their hearts. The buffalo had not yet returned, and the people wondered how they would survive the coming winters. One evening, as the campfire burned low and the stars stretched endlessly above, she gathered the chiefs and holy men. "The pipe is the first gift," she told them, "but I will now give you the 7 sacred rites, so that your people may walk in balance all their days." And so, one by one, she revealed the ceremonies that would sustain the Lakota forever. First came the Sweat Lodge, the rite of purification. "Like the womb of the earth," she said, "the lodge will cleanse the body and spirit, preparing you to walk with clear minds and strong hearts." Next was the Vision Quest, where warriors and seekers would go alone to the high places, fasting and praying until the spirits spoke to them. "In solitude, you will find your purpose," she told them. Then she gave them the Sun Dance, the greatest sacrifice of flesh and spirit, where dancers give of themselves so that the people might live. "Through suffering comes renewal," she said. "The tree at the center is the connection between earth and sky. Pray there, and the world will be made whole again." She spoke of the making of relatives, the binding of souls as kin beyond blood, the girls' coming-of-age ceremony honoring the sacred power of women, the throwing of the ball, a game that mirrored the journey of life, and finally, the keeping of the soul, so that the spirits of the departed would never be forgotten. The people listened, their hearts heavy with the weight of these gifts. They knew these were not mere rituals. They were the bones of their survival. As the days passed, White Buffalo Woman walked among the people, ensuring they understood the sacred ways she had brought them. The children followed at a distance, wide-eyed, as she touched the earth and spoke softly to the plants and animals. The land itself seemed to stir at her presence. One morning, she called the people together near a quiet stream. The air was still, as if the wind itself was holding its breath. "My time among you is ending," she said. A murmur of sorrow rippled through the crowd, but she raised her hand for silence. "Do not grieve, for I leave you with one last sign, a promise that my words are true and that the spirits watch over you." Then she began to walk away from them, stepping lightly across the prairie grass. As the people watched, her form began to shimmer like heat rising from the earth. Her white buckskin dress melted into her skin, her body shifting, changing, until where the sacred woman had stood, there now grazed a magnificent white buffalo calf. The people gasped. Never had such a creature been seen before, its hide pure as winter snow, its eyes holding the wisdom of ages. The calf lifted its head, looked once more at the people, then turned and trotted westward. With each step, its shape blurred between buffalo and woman, until at last it vanished into the horizon. The holy men fell to their knees, their hands pressed to the earth. They knew this was no ordinary vision. It was a living covenant. "So long as the white buffalo walks the world," one elder whispered, "the sacred ways will endure." That night, the thunder beings rumbled in the distance, and by morning, the hunters returned with wide smiles. The buffalo had returned at last, great herds darkening the plains. The people knew then that White Buffalo Woman's promise was true. With the buffalo returned and the sacred rites woven into the fabric of their lives, the people thrived. Yet the elders knew such gifts demanded guardianship. One evening, as the village fire crackled beneath a sky heavy with stars, the chiefs gathered to address a solemn question. Who would be entrusted as keeper of the sacred pipe bundle? White Buffalo Woman had not named a guardian, but in their hearts they knew the choice must be guided by more than human wisdom. A young man named Tathanka Iotake, though still untested in winters, had been seen sitting apart for many days, fasting and praying where the sacred woman first appeared. The holy men watched him closely, for he moved as one half in this world, half in the spirit world. When the pipe bundle was placed before him, his hands did not shake. "You will carry this for the people," the head chief declared. A murmur of approval rose, for though he was young, the unseen powers had marked him. The bundle was wrapped in sage and bison hide, its care passed with whispered instructions older than memory. As the seasons turned, the keeper proved wise beyond his years. He learned to hear the pipe's silent voice, to know when the people must gather to renew their vows with the earth. Under his watch, the pipe's power remained undimmed. The buffalo came when called, the rains followed the prayers, and no enemy dared approach their lands with ill intent. Yet whispers rode the wind of changes to come. Far to the east, strange men, pale as birch bark, were seen cutting trees and driving iron into the earth. The holy men studied the smoke patterns with unease. The sacred pipe would be needed in ways not yet foreseen. Years flowed like the Missouri River, and the Lakota people kept the sacred ways strong. But the world beyond their lands was changing. Strange rumors came with traders and wanderers, tales of iron roads stretching across the earth, belching smoke like angry spirits. The white men called it the steam horse, and where it ran, the buffalo grew frightened and scattered. One autumn, as the leaves turned the color of fire, a group of hunters returned to camp with troubled faces. They had ventured farther east than usual and seen the iron road with their own eyes. "The whites are cutting the land in two," reported an elder hunter, his voice heavy. "They shoot the buffalo not for food or hide, but for sport, leaving the carcasses to rot under the sun." That night, the keeper of the sacred pipe bundle sat alone atop a hill, the stars watching in silence. He filled the pipe carefully, offering smoke to the four directions. As the embers glowed, a vision came. Great herds of buffalo fleeing, their thunderous hooves shaking the earth, until one by one they vanished into mist. Then came a new sound, the scream of the iron horse, its smoke blotting out the sun. When morning came, he gathered the council. "The white buffalo woman's promise still stands," he told them, "but dark times are coming. We must protect the sacred bundle with our lives, for it holds the soul of our people." The chiefs debated late into the night. Some argued for war, to drive the invaders back. Others warned that fighting the whites would be like fighting a flood. But all agreed on one thing: the sacred pipe must never fall into careless hands. The warnings proved true. Each moon brought more white men, soldiers in blue coats, miners with eyes hungry for yellow metal, settlers who fenced the earth as if it could be owned like a horse or blanket. The buffalo grew scarce, harried by endless gunfire. Hunger walked beside the Lakota once more. One bitter winter, When the wind howled like a grieving spirit, the bluecoats came demanding the people move to a reservation. When the chiefs refused, the soldiers attacked at dawn. Rifles barked like evil spirits, cutting down women gathering firewood, elders who could not run fast enough. The keeper of the sacred bundle barely escaped, clutching the pipe to his chest as he rode through sleet and gunfire. For 3 days and nights he wandered, wounded and starving, following only the pull of the bundle against his heartbeat. On the 4th morning, as frost glittered on dead grass, he collapsed at the base of an ancient cottonwood. His vision blurred, but he could see shapes moving toward him, not soldiers, but the Ihangthungwangna people, distant relatives who had also fled the Bluecoats' wrath. Their healer, a woman with eyes like dark water, tended his wounds. When she unwrapped the bundle to place the sacred pipe upon his chest, the whole camp gasped. The red stone bowl glowed faintly, warm as living flesh. "This is why you survived," the healer whispered. "The pipe chooses its path." That night, the northern lights danced violently overhead, their colors bleeding together like a warning painted across the sky. The refugee camp grew as more fleeing bands arrived. Sikangu, Oglala, even Cheyenne, who had seen their sacred arrows burned by soldiers. Around the council fire, the keeper unwrapped the pipe bundle with shaken hands. The people needed its power now more than ever. As the sacred chanchasha filled the bowl, an unnatural hush fell. The smoke twisted upward, but instead of dispersing, it coiled into shapes. Ghostly buffalo running, teepees consumed by flames, then finally, a clear vision. Pahasapa, the Black Hills, where the pines whispered secrets to those who listened. "We must go there," croaked an ancient Minikofoju holy man, his blind eyes milky with cataracts. The heart of Grandmother Earth still beat strongest in those hills. The journey tested them cruelly. Bluecoat patrols lurked along every river, their wagon guns ready to spit death. They traveled by night, guiding the children with strips of bark tied over their mouths to prevent crying. When a baby began wailing near a soldier camp, its mother did what had to be done, smothering the child against her breast to save hundreds. The tiny body was left wrapped in sage beneath a plum tree, its spirit already dancing ahead of them toward the sacred lands. At last, when the weakest could walk no further, Pahasapa rose before them in the dawn light. But as they approached, rifle fire erupted from the tree line. The soldiers had found them first. Bullets buzzed like angry hornets through the morning mist. The people scattered, some falling as they ran toward the shelter of the Black Hills pine forests. The keeper clutched the sacred bundle to his chest, his breath ragged as he scrambled up a rocky outcrop. Behind him, a teenage boy screamed. A soldier's bayonet had found his kidney. At the base of a towering granite cliff, the survivors regrouped. The eldest holy man, his face streaked with ashes from the burnt lodges, pressed his palm against the stone. "Wanagi," he whispered, "spirits." The rock pulsed faintly under his touch, as if the mountain itself was breathing. That night, as the soldiers camped just beyond rifle range, the starving people held their last ceremony. The sacred pipe passed from hand to hand, each person blowing prayers into its smoke. When the embers died, the keeper did something unexpected. He pressed the pipe's red stone bowl against a granite wall. A low hum vibrated through the earth. The cliff face shimmered like disturbed water, and for 3 heartbeats the people saw them. Shadowy figures moving within the stone, the ancestors who had walked these hills when the world was young. Then the vision faded, leaving only the smell of crushed sage and wet rock. At dawn, the soldiers charged, only to find the camp empty. No tracks led away through the dew-heavy grass. The only trace was a single feather tied to a juniper branch, spinning slowly in the wind. The bluecoats searched for weeks, scouring every canyon and pine grove. They found only strange signs. A child's moccasin print preserved in river mud, though no foot had touched it. The smell of burning sweetgrass where no fire burned. Back at their forts, drunken soldiers whispered of seeing entire villages reflected in mountain lakes, upside down, with the people walking on the sky. Seasons turned. Railroad crews working near the Black Hills would sometimes freeze, hearing what sounded like drums beneath their feet. Prospectors who dynamited sacred sites went mad, babbling about a woman in white standing in the dust clouds. And on certain clear nights when the moon hung low, settlers reported seeing buffalo herds materialize from cliff faces, their hooves making no sound as they galloped across the stars. As for the sacred pipe bundle, some say it rests deep in Paha Sapa's heart, guarded by stone warriors who blink once every 100 years. Others claim it walks the earth still, carried by a figure seen only from the corner of the eye, a woman whose footprints vanish as soon as they're made. The iron horses came, the fences spread, but in the hush between thunderclaps, if you press your ear to the right patch of prairie grass, you can still hear them. The people who became the wind, the buffalo who never truly left, and the promise that someday, when the world needs it most, the white calf will return. And that, my friends, is the tale of the white buffalo woman. To keep listening to more stories like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, this is Uncle Ben signing off. Take care, and may the gods watch over you.